Alright, so we're ready to start our work, and we're just trying to make the basic forms of the model. So if we go in, remember to switch out of spotlight mode, you press Z, and make sure that you don't have under your brush and surface, wait no, sorry, samples, spotlight protection, make sure that's off. That way we can actually sculpt without having to sculpt through our spotlight. Now our goal is to just kind of start creating these basic forms out of geo and getting something represented. We're not going to do any of the clothes or anything like that. We're just going to get the body, just the anatomy down. And I'm going to go up into if you're not in this main scene, with this sphere, you can always go to the light box, and you can go just any one of these spheres. It's a nice hopping off point. And I'm going to start by using my Move Topological Brush. I have that bound to M. You don't have to, but I'm just letting you know. If you ever see me switching to a different tool really quick, it's probably because I have a hotkey set for it. And I have another video talking about that, so you can always reference that if you're lost. Here we go, and I'm just getting those basic forms of the face in. And I anticipate this face will be, we'll modify it in 3D and kind of sculpt it to taste when the time comes, because it's just a placeholder. Sometimes 2D designs don't look exactly right in 3D. So I'm just getting these in. Nothing crazy detailed yet. Just going for that. Alright, now we're going to start attaching different primitives to this. Let's start with the neck. Now the way we're going to do that is we go into our brush palette and grab Insert Mesh Primitives. Not Insert Mesh Primitives H, Insert Mesh Primitives, this one right here. Boom. And I'm going to Insert Sphere. And I'm going to make sure I'm on the midpoint because I don't want two to drag out here. And I'm just going to hold and drag on the surface. I'm going to hold Shift so it drags straight down. And this part's masked off. I'm going to go back in my Move Topological. I'm just going to start pulling this into position. I could probably go up in size. This guy probably has a thick neck, so let's go in from the side here. Let's get this all lined up. Okay, that's looking nice. It's looking all right there. So next step, I'm going to go back into my primitives, insert sphere. I'm going to get one in for the torso. Here we go. You can see how we're kind of starting to create the overall silhouette of our character here. I'm going to drag this in because the spine kind of curves in and then pops back out. And let's get the width of his sort of wingspan here. That's looking about right. You can go even so far to like attach spheres for the pecs and like different muscle groups if they have like definitive features like that. If you have just very like cylindrical basic shapes as well, you can do that with this method as well. I'm going to go back into my primitives. I'm going to make one for the pelvis right here. There we go. Going back into my move brush. And my proportions might not be spot on with my reference, but I just want to make this quick for y'all. If I want to go back into and start modifying this other geometry, you'll notice it's darkened out, which means it's masked off. And masking, you can hold Control and mask things off, so you can only move certain pieces of it. However, we want this mask to go away so we can start messing with the other pieces. So I'm just going to Control, click and drag. Then I can start moving in. And this is when Move Topological comes in pretty nicely, because if you just were using your normal move brush, or if you move these different pieces, it would move all of them according to where the mouse is. But I just kind of want to move each of these individually from each other. And I'm going to go in and insert mesh again. But you'll notice that I'm going to be doing the arms now. So I go in, boom. And I'm getting the shoulder detail in there. And I'm going to do the same for the arms. You could even break this up into bicep and tricep and start working like that. I'm just going to keep it as this part of the arm. I'm going to hold shift and then click on and then let go of shift to go to alternate smoothing, so this will be a bit smoother. And I'm going to go in again, keep inserting. Let's move this around, get those forearms in there. You have to constantly monitor each of your different angles. And I'm just doing that same smooth, hold shift, click on, let go of shift. That's for alternate smooth. Regular smooth, you'll see it just kind of crumples the mesh. So I'm going to avoid that. I'm going to size this down and start getting some more. Detail in there. And I'm not going to completely finish this off because it's just, you guys understand the concept at this point. I'm just going to show you two additional things. One, notice how my chest is like stretched down because we pulled it from this central sphere shape. So a lot of these polys are kind of stretched. I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm also going to show you how to import a external file that you might have into the scene to expedite the process. Because I have a hand that is that I could just attach to my model instead of going in and doing the same method for each of the fingers and all that. I'll show you how to do that with just the hand. Okay, and so first things first, I'm going to show you how to kind of even out this topology. There's two ways to do that. Notice how these are stretched out. First, I want to split into my groups, and notice if I click on polygroup, polyfill, you'll see that I have the same colors on each of these sections. That's because we drew them at the same time. So I've created one polygroup for each of those, and it's the same polygroup. So if we do group split, then say OK, you'll notice that it split it into its symmetrical parts. And I did this because I only want to affect my torso right here. And I could have just split out that one individually, but I usually like working with them on separate subtools anyways. But to get these to be a bit more even, we have two methods we could do. We can Z-Remesh, which redraws it with better topology than it was before at a certain poly count. I'll show you what that looks like. We're just going to do same. So it's going to use the same poly count in here. And yeah, so notice how I evened those out. I could have also gone in with double if I wanted a little bit. If I wanted it to say, and I just undid right there with Control Z, if I just wanted to double that count up, yeah, notice that. That works. You get nice even quads. It's really amazing. The other option is to Dynamesh, and I'm going to set this to a lower resolution. Let's try like 32. Okay, yeah, let's try 32. And Dynamesh. Notice that it's scanned in there with that. So those are two methods to kind of fix those problems when you have really stretched out polys. You can just go in, Dynamesh, see how it's even again. You can keep sculpting from there, and you can pull them out even further. Very helpful. I prefer the Z-Remesh method just because it's a lot more clean, but Dynamesh is nice for combining different shapes and dealing with them as well. That'll be in the next video. But yeah, so let me show you how to make some hands as well. Now, one thing to remember about hands is that, or importing just in general, is that it's going to replace your current subtool that you have. So I'm just going to make a dummy subtool that I don't care about. I'm just going to append sphere 3D. Boom. It's in the scene, and it's on this subtool right here. So now if I import, and I'm going to need a OBJ of what I'm going to import. Let's go to scenes and OBJ. I exported this from Maya, just as the .obj file type. Boom, there we go. Then we just need to move this into position, and I'm going to first scale it down because it's a little big, a little bit big. And I'm just going to get that rotated into the proper orientation and moved down. I could use my transpose line tool as well, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys with tools. Let's see if we can reset this to the center. Yeah. So if you click this little box right there, and then this one, go to Unmask Mesh Center. It'll snap to there. It'll make it easier to deal with, and you can relock this to start moving it around again. And it's not the best hand, so I would have to do some fixing on that. But yeah, we can go in with that now, and we can mirror it over to the other side. Let's go to Geometry, and I'm going to also just go back into my Move brush. I just click my hotkey, and just to get out of that transpose line. And I'm going to go to Modify Topology if I'm going to mirror this over. So I'm going to go to Mirror and Weld. It'll say resulting 3D mesh does not contain any polygons, operation canceled, and that's because we have it only mirrors from this side over to this side, so it's a little bit of a choke, but we have to go into deformation, mirror, and then notice how it's snapped to the other side, and then we can go into geometry, mirror and weld. So I just want to show you guys that in case you were running into problems with it, giving you that pop-up right there, and how to fix that. But yeah, so there we go, and you can just use your regular sculpting tools to kind of start building. I'm going to use clay buildup to kind of start polishing the rest of this. Since these are different subtools now, in order to quickly switch between them, you're going to want to Alt and then put your pen down on whichever one you're switching to. And let's just start building these up, you know. This guy's got some definite pecs, so let's get those pec muscles in there. I'm going to turn off polyframe. We can just go in. I'm just dragging over this and then smoothing it out when it gets a little bit too much. I'm just going to use my move button, or my move tool, to kind of get that solar plexus in there. We can go back and like clay buildup. Get those, those lats in there. And yeah, so this is Zbrush, guys, right? Like we can just go in and make all these nice basic forms. We're not getting super detailed in this class. We're only dipping in Zbrush for a little bit. I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed by it, because there's a big world out there in Zbrush. There's a button for pretty much everything you can imagine in here. But I don't want you guys to have to worry about that. I just want you guys to think about basic shapes and getting those into position. So that's the torso, and the shoulder, and all that. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. We covered a little bit of Dynameshing, Z-Remeshing, and how to just make your basic shapes in general. We also got the bonus importing and mirroring over. So I think that'll be a good toolkit for you guys to work with to make the base of these characters. Thanks for watching.